bringing in one of our show's favorites, Gillian Turner, national security expert, former member of the NSC, Fox News contributor. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Leland.
We're glad to have you. All right. It seems like the administration can just not catch a break when it comes to the travel ban. You had the travel ban they put out. You had the public relations fiasco that went down. Then you had the court-issued injunctions, and now you've got this new leaked report from the Department of Homeland Security that is really undermining their assessment and, frankly, making it a lot harder on the administration.
It is, and I think that this leaked report, you know, DHS, their spokesperson, has gone on the record saying, look, this was not something that you can really go to bat on because this was not a complete report. This was a draft report. We didn't have buy-in from all the agencies yet, so don't give it any credence. But the underlying reality is that there's some pretty damning perspectives on the new travel ban that I think, again, it's sort of setting up a road that's going to be treacherous for the administration.
On the flip side of that, though, it does play right into the administration's talking points that there are members of the civil service, if you will, who are actively trying to undermine the administration's policies. If you leak a report that's not completed yet to try and embarrass the White House, motives seem pretty clear.
Absolutely. Leaking is a major problem. It was a major problem in the Obama administration, and it's set to remain one for a long time. I think where we run into trouble on this issue is when we try and pretend that it's a political issue, that this is something that only is happening to President Trump because there's this sort of inner core black state within the United States government of liberals that are seeking to undermine him. I think that's overly simplistic, and I think really undermines the discussion at a certain point.
Well, and certainly when you were at the NSC, there was leaking as well. Have your friends at the NSC talked about this at all? Is there a crackdown on leaking that's different than the crackdown that President Obama went through and some of the points that Joe made?
I think that there's a crackdown in the sense that during the Obama administration, this was all done through legal channels, right? If somebody was caught leaking, there was an investigation and then they were prosecuted. In this administration so far, still early days, President Trump is going directly to the American people and appealing to them for their judgment on this. You know, he's saying, look, there's these leaks. We got to find out who's doing it. This is terrible. He's kind of going he's going extrajudicial on this one. He's saying to the...
Well, either extrajudicial or extra Twitter. Either one. We're certainly getting a lot of Twitter response on the leaks. Back to this issue of the travel ban, though, and you and I have talked about this a lot. At least 4 of these 7 countries are failed states. There's no way to vet anybody who's coming from them because the way you vet people is through their home country security services. There's no home country security service in Libya, in Yemen, in Syria that we talked to, or in Somalia. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. And I'm wondering is there a way to keep bad people out of the country and at the same time not run into the optics issues that the administration keeps seeming to bump up against?
Absolutely. You don't ban them from coming into the country, whether it's temporary, whether it's medium term, or whether it's permanent. I think that's where the opposition to the original EO came from. It was not in the idea that this was somehow extreme vetting or better practice. It was the idea that these people were barred from entering the country.
So as my grandmother used to say, it might not exactly be what you say, but how you say it. Pick another word than ban, and we may be able to solve this problem.
Well, word, but also the policy. Yeah, in this case, I think that if you did implement more extreme vetting, you tightened up some of the security screening procedures, we may not have seen the opposition
and
to this.
Still, the result may have been the same. We may have been able to cut down the number of people almost to 0. Gillian, great insight. Have you back as the week develops. We know you'll have some thoughts once we actually see the new executive order.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.